Esteemed attendees of the RingPartner Ask Us Almost Anything webinar, welcome. Welcome. We're thrilled that you could join us today. We probably should have called this Ask Us Almost Anything because I asked John for his wife's brownie recipe and he told me to go jump in a lake. So those kinds of questions are not the ones to ask. However, if you ever find out that recipe, let me know. You will host an AMA and I will ask you about things like brownies, treats, how to parallel park. I still don't know how to do that, but I'm assuming most of you have joined the webinar not to ask Henry's opinions on parallel parking, but rather some bona fide questions about pay-per-call. How do I make pay-per-call work? What's the deal with pay-per-call? If you want to throw a Seinfeld reference in there, there are a multitude of questions out there that will help you succeed in promoting pay-per-call campaigns. Now, thankfully, I'm not the only one here. And I bet you're thinking, thank God I don't have to listen to this guy for the next 50 minutes. No, I have a slew of guests and experts far more educated in pay-per-call than myself. They just get me to host. That's what I'm the best at. They couldn't host to save their life. However, they know a lot about pay-per-call. So with me today, we've got Justyn, John, Chris, and your usual host, Mike. I know you probably missed his angelic voice. You'll have to do with me for now. But he's here. We're all prepared. We're ready to go. What we're going to do is basically answer questions. We've had some questions pre-submitted to us that we're going to go through. If you have a question, please type it in, and we'll do our best to get to each one. We'll try and avoid some repeats. So if you have a question that may be a derivative of one we've already answered, we may skip that one just because we have a lot of information to get through and never enough time to do it. And like Don Cherry says, they don't pay me enough for this show, and I don't get enough time. Let's get right into it. Everybody ready?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, very good. So the first question is, I'm going to throw this one to Mike, because I know Mike is just dying to get in on this, because he's usually introducing himself and introducing the webinar, and he wants his chance. Here you go. Mike, how come my Google clicks don't show up in reporting?
Well, that's something that is the difference between advertising on Google and the tracking in Voca. So the system doesn't track clicks, it only tracks calls. So quite often we'll hear from publishers that the reporting doesn't match up. The clicks they're showing in Google aren't showing up in Invoca, and that's simply because we're tracking calls on the Invoca side and Google's tracking clicks. But you may also see a discrepancy in the call reporting on Google's side as well, whether they're tracked for longer calls or they're tracking calls that you're not tracking. So you want to make sure you know what's happening there and look into that on the Google side and see what you can glean from that information. If you go to the Dimensions tab in your Google account, you can see all of the calls, you can see the duration, where they came from, and so you can learn a lot more information in there. But there are some minor discrepancies that may occur between how Google's forwarding number tracked the call versus how Invoca tracked that call.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Mike. We're going to go to Chris next. Chris, I really like this question. It wasn't submitted by me. I just want to throw that out there. I just really like it. Whoever threw this question out there is a genius. Chris, I have some really, not myself, I'm posing as a publisher here. I have some really niche traffic, but don't see any campaigns anywhere to monetize. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of those things that, again, I'll do a quick intro. My name's Chris. I work on the business development side here with RingPartner. And so this is sort of right up my alley. Quite often we'll have a number of campaigns that you may have seen before, and then we always try to go for the niche campaigns as well. But a big component to that is ensuring that we have publishers or partners who are able to actually drive traffic to those. So if you have a specialty in a specific area and you're not seeing a campaign within that area being offered, we really want to hear from you. So if you're saying, hey, you know, I've got this great SEO web traffic for pool repair and pool servicing, come to us, talk to us, say this is something that you have traffic for, we can usually go out and hopefully find a buyer for that traffic and find ways to monetize it for you. This is a great way for us to be able to find great opportunities as well, because it gets some creative outlets onto the network, but it also really helps people compete in areas that might not be as competitive in the traditional sort of verticals that we run. So definitely reach out, let us know if you have anything within that area, and we'd love to hear from you.
I have the pleasure of sitting about 3 feet away from Chris, which is kind of scary because he's a tall gentleman and he can reach me at all times, literally. And all I hear him do is on the phone, trying to get these niche campaigns. Doesn't really matter what it is. If there's people wanting to call about it, Chris will get it for you. He'll also get you lunch if you're really, really nice to him. I still owe you $10 for that, by the way. Yeah. He's like an elephant. He never forgets. Let's go to one of my favorite panelists, John. John, why use IVRs? Doesn't that hurt conversion rates?
So depends on the campaign. It depends on the traffic. It's always going to be different, but we find IVRs typically boost conversion rates overall. They're used for multiple reasons. You want to qualify the person. Just because somebody made a search on Google doesn't mean they're qualified. Oftentimes they'll search something closely related, and then they will click on the first number they see. Feeding all of those people through to the buyer directly, it eats up time for the reps on the phone, which could hurt conversion rates of the campaign overall, and just produces not the greatest quality. So, with no IVR, a lot of the time you'll see lower conversion rates, you'll see lower payouts because the quality's not as good. With a good IVR in place, you get a chance to also pre-sell the caller on the product with a bit of a sales message. Think of it as a bit of a squeeze page or something to get them through the door, hear a little bit of information, get excited about connecting, and then connecting to the agent. It leads into a better overall call.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. Let's throw one to Justyn because we haven't heard from him yet, and listeners may not even believe you're here. Justyn, say hello.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Justyn. I'm a distribution manager here, but glad to have you guys on the call today.
Don't I do a good Justyn impression? Nah, it's actually him. Justyn, one of our most common questions is, what are your top campaigns and roughly what kind of volume are you doing? I mean, we don't need specific stats necessarily, but what do you constantly see or hear from publishers about top campaigns, top performing ones?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question. Some of the top campaigns right now are things definitely in the home services side. It's one of those verticals that we see kind of just pick up at this time of the year, and that will continue to grow over the summer and in those warmer months. So things like, pest control, lawn care have been a couple that have been doing really, really well, have been converting really, really well, and will continue to do well throughout the summer. Some other ones as well, too, to make note of are things like appliance repair and, even things like handyman services. As Chris mentioned and as Henry's mentioned as well too, we've got a lot of campaigns in very different niches, but the home service side, there's so many little sub niches in there that you can really, scale. And again, with this time of the year, I think a lot of people have these services in mind, and that's kind of, it's nice out and, they want to get their lawn fixed up or get rid of that termite problem. So I'd say home services is a big vertical right now for us.
Very cool. Thank you, Justyn. An apt answer from an apt distribution manager. I like the synergy. Mike, why don't we do this one next for you? One of our questions is about promotion types. We hear a lot about display and paid search in pay-per-call. Are there any other promotions that are feasible for publishers to use?
Any other promotion types outside of AdWords?
Yeah, AdWords and display. Anything outside that?
We can try PPV, pop traffic, services like traffic bands or lead impact. You just really need to focus in on how to get the user to actually pick up the phone and dial versus, when you see a mobile campaign, it's really easy to click to call. So there are definitely other traffic sources. Email can work as well since, the majority of people are now checking their email on their phone. You can try, a number of other traffic sources, including, print, radio, TV. Since you're just using a tracking phone number, you'll be able to track all those calls as they come in and, promote that campaign just about anywhere. And, these seem to be good traffic sources as well. Whenever you're doing something like a print campaign or where the number is actually hard-coded or placed physically for a long period of time, you should definitely use a call promotion. If you don't have call promotions enabled in your account, just ask your rep, RingPartner, and we'll help set that up in your account. It's just a good way to make sure that if the offer goes down, you can continue to send the calls through. So there are a number of other traffic sources out there that can work. Anywhere you can advertise, a download or a form, you can likely also advertise for calls. You just need to keep in mind that you've got to motivate the caller to actually make the call and generate the phone call.
That's an excellent answer. The only time I hear Mike speak as passionately about pay-per-call is if you ask him about the gym, and you'll get an answer twice as long. So nobody ask any gym questions, please. We only have about another half hour to go. Chris, I'd like to field this one to you. Are you seeing any niche opportunities with pay-per-call in real estate?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. We've been talking about real estate for a long time, and this is actually a pretty exciting new avenue that we're actually looking into right now. So I would definitely encourage you, if you do have traffic within the real estate vertical, to reach out to your distribution manager and chat to them about this. One of the challenges that's always existed within this space is that quite often the buyers or the agents can be quite fragmented, so there can be many franchises, independent agents, even though they work with large groups like, let's say, Remax across nationwide coverage. Being able to direct calls individually to the right person has been a bit of a challenge. That being said, we are launching some new campaigns within this space, both in terms of home buyers looking for new homes. It can also spin off into folks who are looking for new mortgages. And then there's also an opportunity that we're looking into, which is for apartment and rentals. So we definitely see a lot of opportunity in real estate, but there is a bit more legwork on the back end that we're still finalizing on our side. But I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your distribution manager if you do have traffic in this area. We see it as a new sort of niche, again, going back to that niche targeting opportunity that you can definitely hopefully take advantage of in the next couple months.
If there's one guy at RingPartner that knows about real estate, it's probably Chris or Todd or Ryan or Mike or Justyn or John. Basically, everybody but me knows a lot about real estate, but Chris is definitely our biggest expert. So I'm really glad that question got answered. John, I'd like to throw this one to you, if you could. Let's talk about brands and landing pages. How do publishers sort of make sure they don't violate terms about brands, or are they able to create branded landing pages or unbranded landing pages? What's your opinion there?
Yeah, so most people will create an unbranded landing page or occasionally kind of create their own brand to some extent. There's, when you're, doing a certain service or something like that on the landing page, whatever you're promoting, you can occasionally use the brand or logo on the landing page. It's something you probably want to confirm with your distribution manager. But for the most part, everything should be done unbranded. And yeah, what most people would do is, use a WordPress theme, use Unbounce, use Wix, whatever you need to create your own landing pages, either with your own brand or just generic and unbranded, and use those for your campaigns. When it comes to display media, it's not as important. When it comes to branding, on search, it's very important to make sure you're not bidding on or showing up for the terms related to that company that you're promoting, because you're going to compete with them, and that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for additional revenue services, not somebody to compete with what they're already buying on. And same thing is, they don't want you using their landing page or their website in your ads, because at that point, it looks like it's them running that ad, and we don't want to misrepresent ourselves as that company. We're there to help them generate more business, not pretend we're them. So when it comes to search, you definitely need to be more mindful of it. But as long as you have approval, using the brand and logos and things like that is typically okay with your creatives and display media and stuff like that.
I always go to John with any questions about landing pages or anything like that. He's been in the business for a long, long time. He has a really good ear to the ground about what buyers will and won't accept, or creative ideas for landing pages. If you have any of those questions, always ask your distribution manager, and if you're lucky, John will be that person. Chris, we get quite a few people asking about tech support.
Yeah.
Do we do tech support?
We do not do tech support. So as you are absolutely correct, at a lot of the shows we end up going to and a lot of the inquiries we get inbound are whether or not we can drive calls for tech support. And that's not a vertical that we work within. So I like to say for the most part, RingPartner has campaigns in almost every vertical out there, from legal to home services to insurances to you name it. I like to think that we're pretty much there, but tech support is one of the areas that we are not working in. And there's a few different reasons for that. There certainly was a bit of a Wild West occurrence that has taken place in that space for quite a while. It's also just a very, very, very heavy management and compliance. There's a very strong management and compliance requirement that goes along with it. So we're not working within that space. Certainly, I'm sure you can find some other providers that do, but I think essentially for every other vertical out there, we're almost in it.
Sounds good. And this is the kind of thing where things change, but for now we're just not doing it. Down the road, who knows? But that's our stance. I appreciate you clarifying that, Chris. Justyn, let's go to you as I guess the newest member in this room, although you've been with us for a while. And I can't even begin to guess your actual age. You look 21 to me, or I don't even know if you're allowed working here. As a new person to pay-per-call, what would be your best piece of advice?
The best thing to do for people that are new to pay-per-call, and this is a good question because we get this a lot with new applications and everything, is what should they do? And the best thing I would say for people that are new to pay-per-call to do would be to go to our blog on our website, or also even check out our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of great videos and a lot of great articles that have been written to help people that are new to pay-per-call. Anything from how to do call-only ads and even just stuff with ring pools and I mean, the other thing too is just kind of being in contact with us as well. So we try to do our reach outs and make sure we're in contact with you, but definitely, reach out to us if you have any questions about specific things. So I would definitely say check out the blog and the YouTube channel first. And then if you have any other specific questions, by all means, direct everything to your distribution manager. We're here to help you, through everything and definitely, reach out through chat, call, or email.
Excellent. I will keep that in mind in case I decide to become a publisher of my own. Thank you very much for the questions, guys. Keep them coming. They're great. We're trying to get to them as best we can. There are a lot, so please don't feel maligned if we don't get to yours. And of course, this is being recorded. So if you ask a question and then leave without us answering it, make sure to check the recording. Chances are we did get to it. Mike, as the wisest and most experienced member in this room, what are the hurdles for international pay-per-call, and why haven't we gone overseas yet?
Sure. I'll answer that in 1 second. I just want to make sure we're getting questions about people not having sound. Can everyone hear us okay? Just want to make sure if you can just type in the box there and just let us know that you can hear us. I'm not sure if it's technical on their side or our side, but things seem to be working fine here. So as long as you can hear us, let us know. If you're having issues, definitely type it in there. Okay. It was out for about 5 minutes.
I'm assuming the good quality comment was about the host.
Lost sound there for about 5 minutes. Okay. I'm not sure which question was answered at that time. Maybe someone could write that question in and we'll try and re-answer that. So just to address the international issue, it comes down to technical requirements for each of those different countries. So currently, the tracking platform that we use and that most people use operates in North America, so Canada and US, where the numbers are pretty standardized across the board. But when you go to things like the UK or France or Germany or Australia, things change a little bit and it's a little different managing those numbers, and there's some different requirements around those things. So there's definitely a ton of opportunities internationally, and it's something that we would like to be able to expand into, but for now we're pretty focused on the North American market, and we've tested UK in the past, and it was okay for a little while, and then we just decided to focus more in on the North American, US, and Canada market. So there's still opportunity there. It's more just a technical question of who's going to move into that space and take that over.
Okay. Great, that makes sense. Speaking from someone with quite a bit of experience in the CPA space, I feel like we're just at the part where we were years ago, where we were about a year away from international really blowing up. But we're very excited about the prospects. So make sure to keep asking us. I just won't be able to give you a definitive timeline just yet. Thanks, Mike. Justyn, quick one to you. When are payments issued to our publishers?
So payments are issued on the 15th of every month. So the billing cycle goes from the 1st to the 31st or the 30th, whenever the end of the month is. And then they're paid out 15 days after that. So essentially the 15th of every month is when we send payments out. Definitely, if you're looking at getting faster payments, let us know, and we can, once we're hitting certain targets and certain goals, then we can definitely bump those payments to be a bit quicker. But as a standard across the board, we all it starts out at net 15 monthly.
Net 15 monthly. You heard it here, guys. All right. So I really want to keep going on the IVR train. I know John answered an earlier question about IVR and does that hurt conversion rates, things like that. John, this is the part where you say yes.
Yes.
John, can I record my own IVR as a publisher?
You can't, but publishers can. We have a service called Call Promotions. Mike mentioned it earlier. It's a great tool. It allows you to, have your own IVR with key presses, or just play a prompt before the call gets connected. It allows you to, work with multiple campaigns. So, say you wanted to combine campaigns in similar verticals, but have an IVR selection to make sure you're getting connected to the right person. You can do that. You can use text to speech. You can upload a recording. You could have a nice sales pitch at the beginning before it connects, use it kind of like a landing page. There's a lot of fun you can have with it, but there's also a lot you can do to help increase conversion rates. And then as far as using, a custom IVR, so something to replace what is already on the campaign, you can't do that yourself. There is the potential for us to test a new IVR for you on the back end if you think it's going to make a big difference for your traffic. So if you do ever want to replace an IVR that we're using, talk to your distribution manager about it, run your idea by them, and hopefully we can test something out and see how it works.
Very cool. Thank you, John. We should thank the stars that I'm not allowed recording any IVRs. I have that as a rule in my contract here. So we just have the angelic voice of John and another voice talent over here recording the IVRs in a professional recording studio. We're very lucky to have it.
Thanks,
or it
Henry.
could be the back accounting room. I don't know.
Now my secret's out.
Your secret's out. That's all right. We're learning a lot here. Mike, I want to get this question to you as quickly as possible. It's really gnawing at me. As you know, AdWords now has the ability to do call-only ads. Bing has yet to follow suit. How can an advertiser like myself, who is targeting thousands of keywords, optimize my Bing call extensions to get maximum calls and low clicks? Other than calling Bill Gates, I don't think that's a realistic option. I tried that and I got arrested. So.
So I think that Bing will follow suit to AdWords call-only campaigns. They seem to copy everything that AdWords does, just slightly delayed. But in the meantime, you really want to make sure that your call to action within your ads explains that they're going to be making a phone call. And I'm not overly familiar with Bing. I focus more on AdWords. But definitely make sure that they know it's going to be a call. And then you may also want to check out our webinar that we did. It's a little bit older, but it's in the YouTube channel and youtube.com/ringpartner. And there's one that was done on Bing specifically, and it talked quite a bit about making sure that you're generating more calls than you are clicks. So check that out. And I think that Bing also does a bid modifier, so that you can bid plus 300% for mobile traffic. So definitely recommend that. And I'm not sure if it works, but it did on AdWords was to create a bad ad for desktop to try and force users to click through and click to call on a mobile instead. So you can try that out. And the goal is to really create a poor click-through rate ad that then gets lower placement on a desktop, so that you'll get fewer desktop clicks and more mobile traffic. But I'm not sure if that works on Bing. But it did work well on AdWords before call only. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Mike. It does. I'm sure it does. Some of you may be listening and thinking, boy, I really want to get in on this, but I feel like an outsider. I'm in the backyard looking up at this very exclusive club treehouse. How do I climb that ladder? John, what is the criteria to become a publisher with RingPartner?
Typically, we're looking for a bit of experience in the 6-month range. We expect people to know, about traffic sources. We expect them to know about basic compliance, what they should and shouldn't be doing. Unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth to teach people how to be affiliates or publishers or distribution partners. We do have a lot of great resources to help, but we're looking for people who understand the space and can come in and then take the resources we are able to provide and run with them to learn about pay-per-call marketing. So I would recommend hitting as many blogs as possible. Premium23.com is a really good one that's pay-per-call specific. But if you just Google affiliate marketing blogs, you'll find some. And then forums like AF Playbook, Stack That Money, Affiliate Fix. There's a few really great forums out there where you can ask questions and get advice from your peers. So I think the first step is learning the industry, because if you do come to a network and you don't have 3 to 6 months of experience, you're gonna be expected to at least know quite a bit about the industry, enough to get started. And you want to make sure that you have the basics covered, you have a good understanding of the industry before you apply. But after that, it's all just about motivation. And if you're keen and you sound like you're thirsty and you want to get going, that's going to help out. You need knowledge, but you also need hunger. You need to really want to do this, and it's going to cost money, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to take long hours before you start making a bunch of money. But as we've all heard, there's a lot of money to be made here, and there are a lot of people making it. So if you're willing to put in the time, the effort, the money, that's a huge key in getting started and being successful.
Impossible not to get passionate about pay-per-call sitting in the same room as John Belliveau. John, thank you very much. Justyn, I don't want to talk about specific mistakes like the time I almost broke the toaster oven in our kitchen, but let's talk about sort of general mistakes. What sort of common mistakes do you see publishers making, and what can they do to improve?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the one that sticks out, I think, is just a lot of times people will go in and apply to everything on the network. Maybe because they're told just go and apply for everything, maybe just for mentors and stuff like that. But I think it's just a common mistake. I think it's good to focus on kind of one or maybe 3 to 5 campaigns right from the get-go, and just kind of maybe just apply to those few, and then really focus on building one campaign out. A lot of times people will apply to a bunch of things and try them all at the same time, and it doesn't pan out. And it's unfortunate, because if they were able to spend those same amount of hours and focus that attention on maybe one campaign and maybe do some research on the niche, if they don't know much about it, they can really learn to find those really good keywords, or find where that little pocket of traffic is. So I think that's definitely the big thing. It'd be maybe like, just focusing on one and scaling it upwards from there. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing for me on my end, as probably the biggest mistake, and we see it quite often. But if you ever chatted with me, most of the time that's what I say is focus on just one. So
very cool. Thank you, Justyn. And going from that, I know the whole reason we're doing this is about money. It's all about the Benjamins, or up here in Canada, as we say, it's all about the John A. McDonald's. Chris, what is the general payout? What can publishers expect to get paid per call?
Because we work in so many different industries and so many different business sectors, there isn't a general. General is not something that necessarily exists. If you're sending traffic to our Live Links campaign and sending dating calls or chat line calls, you might be getting paid $1.75 per qualified call. But on the other end, if you're sending really high quality, let's say, addiction and recovery traffic for callers that stay on the line for more than 6 minutes, maybe you're making $200 a call. The neat thing about pay-per-call and the neat thing about this industry is because we cover so many different verticals: legal, home services, insurances, recovery, chat line. You name it, we're more or less in that space. Each of these has their own different marketplace for value. So a plumbing call might be worth $10. A lawyer for personal injury might be worth $30. Maybe a lawyer for DUI is only worth $10. It really does vary based on the campaign that you're running and based on the vertical that you're running in. Then again, it's really easy to find this out as well. So if you aren't a publisher already, all you need to do is sign up with a publisher account. Once you get approved, you get a list of all the campaigns that we have live. You can open them up. You can see what the payouts are. And that allows you to then dig into your own traffic and determine, okay, what's my cost going to be to drive this traffic, and what's the payout going to be, and is there an opportunity here for me to hopefully make some money?
That's a very good question, because I asked Chris, how much was the lunch you got for me? And he said, well, there is no specific price, and then went into that spiel again about different lunches. So he's well qualified to speak on that regard. Thank you very much for your questions, guys. Please keep them coming. This next one is for Michael. That's you. What match do you usually use when you launch a campaign, and how do you bid? Have to pay out. I usually see CTRs around 1%. Do you see your campaigns like this?
Yeah, usually the match type that we use is all of them. So we use the broad match modifier, we use broad, exact, phrase, and really the goal is to discover some exact keywords that really work. So you go in with a broad approach and let Google kind of find some things that work. It will, unfortunately, will find some things that don't work, and then you narrow down from there. So finding some new keywords that you didn't expect, or some good matches, and then you can take those keywords and make them exact and put them in another ad group and optimize from there. As far as click-through rates go, 1% seems a little low. We're seeing higher than that. We want to see 3 to 6% or higher. So you definitely need to take a look at your ads, make sure everything's relevant, make sure the keyword is relevant to the ad text is relevant to the keywords that are in that ad group. Keep those ad groups small with a few keywords in there that are all relevant to each other. And then that should improve your click-through rate. And then one thing that we do see a lot more with pay-per-call, especially on call only, is much higher conversion rates. So it's not odd to see a 30 to 40% conversion rate. And generally when we start a campaign, we do go in with a higher bid, and half the payout is a pretty good place to start. Even knowing that you may lose money out of the gate, it's a good place to go in. And you want to start well with a campaign. So you want to start out spending, and you want to get a decent click-through rate, decent quality score all from the start. So go in with a bit of a higher payout, but make sure that your campaign is well structured with proper keywords and ad text. So hopefully that helps your question, but there's a lot involved with Google AdWords campaigns, and I do recommend doing some research and learning a little bit about the game elsewhere, whether it's a blog or some even going through the Google AdWords test to get certified, even if you don't want to get certified.
There is a reason you see this man on many panels, many shows, and why he hosts our webinars. This is one of the most knowledgeable men on the planet when it comes to pay-per-call. Any questions you ever want, check out our previous webinars, and if you're lucky enough to see him on a panel, go see it. Next question, let's throw it to another knowledgeable source. John, what is the best place or source to run traffic for pay-per-call? Is there one?
Yeah, so Google has been probably one of the best since the beginning, at least since I've been here, just because click-to-call search ads are a very natural fit for what we do, especially when it comes to the home services verticals. Somebody's looking for an emergency plumber, they're going to go to their phone, they're going to search for a plumber, they're going to click and make a call. But we're seeing a lot of expansion outside of search. So obviously Google and then Bing and some of the other like third-tier search networks. We've seen a lot of success on pop-up and PPV traffic. Again, usually promoting niche offers seems to be a really good fit there. We've seen success on mobile display. We've seen success in desktop display and Facebook. And I mean, at the end of the day, traffic's traffic. Mike mentioned earlier, offline, print, radio, TV. If it's a service that people are willing to make a call for and you have the ability to target that demographic, it should work. It's not going to be perfect every time. I know when it comes to PPV, there's a lot of hits and misses, but it's not the vertical. It's often the campaign or the traffic or the the keywords or targets. But there's usually a way to make it work. So I mean, I would explore all avenues, especially if you already have one that you're experienced with. There's probably a way to make pay-per-call work there.
Very cool. Thanks, buddy. Chris, this is a very good question, and I see this one actually asked a lot. Why does the campaign say payout and duration can vary between X and Y amounts?
Awesome question, and I'm sure Justyn, a lot of our distribution managers do encounter that quite a bit. The reason for that is quite often you'll come into a campaign and you will see X campaign is paying out $10 per call for a 90-second duration. You go, great, I know what I'm doing, fantastic. On other occasions, you can log into a campaign to apply, and you might see that it pays out between $10 and $15, and the duration may vary. Now, the reason for this is on certain campaigns, we do what we call a bundle. And this is an instant when we may have multiple buyers at the back end of the campaign. So the benefit for us running multiple buyers in one campaign is that we're able to then offer better hours of coverage, better geolocation coverage, as opposed to running each of these campaigns individually. So, for example, if we are running a car insurance campaign and we have 10 different buyers in there, quite likely each of those 10 different buyers are going to be open at different hours of the day, possibly different days of the week, and they might be paying out different rates depending on where those calls are coming in from. When we bundle that together into one campaign, it allows us to ensure that a publisher can run that single campaign with the most coverage, the most hours, and the most flexible ability as possible. It also helps us ensure that in the event that one of these buyers reaches a budget cap or decides to pull out of the campaign doesn't die. The campaign doesn't necessarily have to pause. It just means that traffic is going to be redirected into another direction. So these are sort of those benefits of doing that. But as a result, occasionally, because there is different coverage in different hours and different payout, you might see a little bit of a fluctuation there. Certainly, if there's any confusion, though, do reach out to your distribution manager. And I know we hone in on this every single day. We're a phone company. We love to hop on the phone. And all of these questions can be answered usually very, very quickly if you give your distribution manager a call, and they can walk you through that.
Excellent answer, Chris. And that wasn't even rehearsed, if you can believe it. I threw him that one out of nowhere. You should have seen the look on his face. It was full of confidence and vigor, and it was expressed in his answer. Thank you, Chris. Justyn, let's go to you. What is the difference between IVR, connected, and total durations?
It's a great question. So a lot of times when people are looking at the reports and kind of what calls they've seen over a certain period of time, they're looking at a lot of times we see people looking at total duration, and they'll say, hey, this call that I had lasted, over the 90-second duration. Why didn't it pay out? And something we just need to be aware of is just that total duration is not where the timer, so to speak, starts. So there's what's called the IVR duration, the connected duration as well to be aware of. So the IVR duration essentially is how long that caller is staying in that IVR. And then once they've gone through that IVR, they're now the timer starts, and that connected duration is that time you're looking for to meet that minimum duration for that campaign. So if your campaign says you need to hit 90 seconds, you want to make sure that that connected duration is greater than 90 seconds for that call to be paid out.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Justyn. John, I think you've heard of a site called, I think it's pronounced Facebook. It might be Facebook. That's what it is. Instagram. Facebook. I've heard of Facebook. I don't use it myself. Is Facebook working well for publishers?
Yeah, no, and I touched on that a little bit earlier, but Facebook's a great traffic source. You got to think, how many users do they have daily? It's a ridiculous number. Their targeting capabilities are very robust, whether it be based on age, sex, location, profession, interests. Carving out a little pocket for a specific vertical, can be quite easy. Getting people to pick up the phone and make a call is not as difficult as a lot of people think. They also offer mobile, so you can direct them through to a landing page. And we've heard rumblings that they're launching click-to-call from within a mobile device pretty soon. So that's going to be a huge boost for pay-per-call once that happens. One of the things to keep in mind is it could be a very little thing like targeting profession. Specifically, maybe it's a carpenter or something like that, where it could be a really good fit for some of these services. So profession, age, sex, as I said, all the different demographic and interest information, you want to play around with it, use it for optimization, and you should be able to find, as I said, a pocket that kind of makes sense for everything.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, John. I'll have to look at that Facebook website a little bit later on. Mike, can you put on your mind-reading hat, garb, and maybe polish that crystal ball and speak to us on the future of pay-per-call?
Yeah, it's can kind of sum it up in one word: growth. We definitely see a ton of growth in pay-per-call, and a lot of positive things happening. So one of the things that we see quite a bit is more devices being able to call. So you have the ability to call from your computer or tablet or any other device. So that opens up a whole other channel, another way for people to call into campaigns. We see growth in advertisers, so new advertisers trying this service out and giving it a shot. So anyone that can sell over the phone can potentially be a pay-per-call client. And then the last thing that I really see happening, I think it's just around the corner, is just general better tracking. Expansion into the international market is part of that, but better tracking across the board so that we can really see which keywords, which traffic sources, which creatives are truly working. And I think a big problem there is just the fact that we're using phone numbers and there's a limitation on how many phone numbers there are. And so tracking becomes a really tough issue. So once we can kind of turn the corner on that, I think there's exponential growth for pay-per-call in the near future and even further down the road. So we just see continued growth. We've grown quite a bit in the last 2 years, and we expect to grow even more in the next 2 to 5 years as well. So growth is definitely in the future for pay-per-call.
That's exciting to hear, and a bit of a relief, to be honest, listeners. John, I have a question for you. Do I need my own call center?
That's actually a question we get quite a bit from people who are just getting involved with pay-per-call. As a publisher, we've seen people, I guess, maybe expecting that they need to do their own warm transfers or something like that. But no, as a publisher, you do not need a call center. We're looking to generate inbound calls for our partners. That's true. But we want those calls coming directly from the ads, directly from the landing pages and things like that. So you get to pull unique numbers from the Invoca platform to direct to that campaign, and you put those numbers on your creative. No call center on your side needed. Now, if you're a buyer and you're looking to purchase calls, yes, you need a call center. If it's just one person taking calls on their cell phone, it's not going to work out just because of the high volume that we typically run these campaigns. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking to buy some calls, call center definitely needed. Then there's a third kind of middle ground option. We work with some partners on a call transfer relationship. So maybe they are taking inbound calls and then cross-selling them on another product, or generating leads and then calling and qualifying these leads before they transfer them. We've done some of that as well. So in that situation, yeah, you'd be using a call center. But for the most part, as a publisher, there's no need for you to have your own call center. We give you the toll-free numbers that people are going to be calling and sending them directly through to the buyers.
Fantastic. Thank you, John. So we just have time for 2 more questions, everybody. Time has just flown by, and we appreciate everybody's attendance and interest. It's really exciting to see. It really revs us up. We've got a group workout for Team RingPartner later, and I got to say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it with a lot of energy. Justyn, we get this a lot, not necessarily happening, but we get a lot of questions about this. As a publisher, am I allowed brokering offers from RingPartner?
Great question. So currently at this time, no, unfortunately, we don't allow brokering of offers. If you work in a team or you work in a network but are planning to run it internally, that's fine. The biggest thing for us when offers are getting brokered is that, if something happens with the campaign, if there's any issues in the campaign, we need to be able to get a hold of the person that's actually running it. So if you're brokering the offers out and you have your own publishers or affiliates running it, we can't get a hold of them to chat with them, like I said, for any compliance reasons or anything like that. So, currently at this time, unfortunately, we don't broker offers.
Understood. Thanks for clearing that up, Justyn. And we just have time for one more, and we're going to finish with our strongest person. Actually, Mike's probably our strongest. We're going to finish with our tallest person, Chris.
All right, arm wrestle. Let's go. Come on.
I'm going to lose. Help. Chris, are your payouts fixed, or is there flexibility?
I like to say everything everything is negotiable, but essentially the way this works is we have our rack rates that you'll see on the campaigns when you start listed or when you start signing up, and that's where everybody starts. What we need to sort of do anything further than that is we need a baseline to gauge quality. We need a baseline to gauge volume. So if you're running 500 calls a day to a campaign already, and you say, hey, listen, I've got this traffic, but I need the price to be, $1 more. Is there something you can do to get me that? Send us some calls. We'll usually come back to you and say, great, send us 20, 30, 40, 50 paid calls. Let's take a look at the quality. Once we have that quality, then what I get to do and what you get to do, Henry, is we get to go back to the buyers and to the advertisers and say, hey, listen, we just had some new traffic come in. How does it look on your end? Is it backing out? Is the quality right? Do you like this traffic? If so, are we able to do an increase for this specific publisher or this specific source? So do not think that just because you're seeing $10 as the payout, that is the be-all and end-all. Send us some calls. Let's build some traffic. We're on a massive push to make sure that we're staying flexible and creative with all of our partners. And we want to make sure that we can kind of bend a little bit to make sure that you're successful, because if you're successful, we're successful. And whether that means playing around with durations or playing around with payouts, the big thing is we need that baseline of some calls to come in, and then we can have a chat. Then we can figure out what do we need to do to make this work for everybody.
This may have been our best webinar yet, and I don't say that because I got to host. I say that because of the slew of excellent questions that everybody submitted. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for attending, and I just want to remind everybody that we will do more Ask Us Almost Anything webinars. John, I'm still waiting on that brownie recipe of your wife's, but hopefully that'll be for another time. This will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel, so that's youtube.com/RingPartner. Check out our blog on social media. Our Twitter feed is at RingPartner, RingPartner. And please send us more questions to contact@ringpartner.com. We'll be sure to answer them on our next Ask Us Almost Anything webinar. And from everybody here, for Justyn, John, Chris, Mike, and myself, Henry Skey, thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you next time.